Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. And today I'm going to try to do two topics in this one video. If I can't, or if I'm not successful, I do partially the second one on this one, then I finish on another one. But the topics are these. The first one is, as a working class musician, people have been asking me, what are the best gigs to have? And the other topic is rhythm, guitar playing versus lead. Which one should you concentrate on becoming? So I'm going to do the first topic first as far as gigs. I've been playing professionally since I was like 19. You know, my first professional job, I was 19 years old and I was sent over to Germany. Didn't like the flight. I don't really like to travel as far as flying long distance or overseas, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So we opened up for a big name act. So that's why we were selected to tour that extensively. But my personal experiences and recommendations are, and a lot of people, you know, don't think about this because sometimes you don't know what you need to know in the future now. You know, because when you first start playing, you ask yourself, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to concentrate on rhythm or lead? And then, you know, down the line, you see there's a bigger opportunities for rhythm guitar player, but you focus so much on lead back in the day that, you know, your rhythm skills is not as good as the guy that's auditioning next to you. So you don't know what you don't know. But from my personal experience, the best gigs to me is corporate gigs. And what I mean by that is law firms throw parties. You want to be a part of that because lawyers love the party, you know, and they pay very well. So, you know, but your game got to be right as far as your band. You know, you can't be sloppy. You can't be offensive. You got to dress appropriately. You got to act appropriately. It's kind of like in the business world, you know. You got to come in with a suit and tie and, you know, present yourself in a professional manner. And, you know, it's no different. And you also have got to have a good manager as far as getting those types of gigs because it's all professional and it's all political. You know, there are certain groups that they tend to lean towards as far as getting their pool of bands into their functions. So it's not like you're going to walk off from the street into a law firm and say, are y'all having a party anytime soon? Hire us. It doesn't work that way. You have to have a manager, and the manager has connections as far as getting these types of gigs for you. You know, and like I said, that's my personal recommendation, and that's my personal life because as you get older, you don't want to do the smoky nightclubs anymore. You don't want to come home smelling like smoke when you don't smoke. You don't want to be playing places when you get older where you got to worry about, do I got to carry a gun, you know, at the end of, have my gun with me at the end of the night so I can get my, you know, expensive equipment to my car, you know, because those are things that you have to think about. And they're not pleasant things, but it's the reality that the majority of instruments are stolen in clubs, not somebody breaking in your house when you go to work. You know, so that's why another reason why I didn't want to be toting around a $2,000 guitar because everybody checking your inventory, you know, at the club. And then also the smaller the clubs in most cases, the less security. So that means that anybody that works there and somebody that knows somebody that worked there can get access to the backstage when you performing or on your break, or you know, or they feeding you a drink or giving you drinks that they can go back there and take off with your instruments. So you know, those are things that most of us don't think about and don't know about. And like I said, you know, I'm at this stage in my life that I don't want to deal with that anymore because I've dealt with it when I was younger. So basically, I opt to, or me and my band opt to take on corporate gigs. We do weddings because the cool thing about weddings is you get hired to do a wedding or a banquet, you know, for the wedding. And when it's over, you got 3 more gigs because there's somebody in the audience that either about to get married or knows somebody that's about to get married and say, hey, you guys are great. You know, we like to hire you for our gig. So, you know, it just keeps going. So, you know, those are good avenues as far as types of gigs that you want to look into. Because again, you know, you don't know what you don't know. What we also do now, we make a pretty decent living at that is we are studio musicians for artists, you know, who are putting together demos or albums because, as you know, unfortunately, there are no black bands no more. So the majority, if not all of the acts are single black acts, you know, one person or duet or whatever. But, you know, that's where we kind of focus our energy these days as far as what we do. We do a lot of studio work for up and coming artists or artists that's putting together demos. We do weddings. We do the corporate gigs, which is my favorite. My least favorite, and I don't do these, but everybody to each his own, that cruise nonsense because they have pay you. I don't want to be on the water because, you get seasick. It's cool if you playing and the boat is docked, but, when you out there for 5, 7, 8 days, that's just not my thing. Again, personally, that's not my thing. There's some people that make a decent living doing that, but that is definitely not the area or territory that I want to venture off into. Neither my band. And also, when you do the corporate gigs, well, just I say in general, because I've always been this kind of person. I analyze the situation. If it doesn't work for me personally, I don't want no part of it, regardless of how popular it is or how unpopular you may become if you don't indulge, which is ridiculous. That peer pressure BS. But when we play, because, when you go to either big acts, concerts, or even little clubs, you got these people on stage trying to tell you what to do. Stand up and clap. I'm like, I'm a grown man. That ain't what I want to do. So therefore I won't. You being, a party pooper. I really don't like, situations where they're trying to force you to do stuff because they think that that's just the norm and that's how it's supposed to be. I pay my hard-earned money to see an artist and I go to concert. The last thing I want to do is stand up and sing your song because I didn't come here and pay you to sing your song. I paid you to sing your song. So we never believed in that. When we perform, we don't ask people to get up and clap. If they want to get up and clap and move, that's their prerogative, and that's what they can do if they want to. But, we don't try to pressure people and get up, clap. There ain't nobody clapping on. Y'all must don't, none of that stuff. Don't badger your audience. They are the reason why you're there, to entertain them and be compensated for it. So let them do whatever they want to do, inside of, what's legal and what's respectable. But that's one thing that, we always was very attention to detail about. We don't force our audience into audience participation nonsense. I don't like that. I don't want nobody telling me what to do, and clap loud and scream the lyrics to my song. No, you scream the lyrics to your song. That's why you up there getting paid by us. But some of us follow the herd and, we okay with that. But we always just thought that was kind of too much and over the top as far as trying to force your audience into an audience participation thing. So those are things that, we looked at. And then, I'm kind of going to interwoven or tweave both of these topics, I guess. As far as the rhythm and lead playing, because a gentleman on my channel just recently asked me, he said, and it's a good question, and I need to address it to the masses. He said, in your videos that you have for DVD videos, do you touch on scales and solo? And I said, no, I basically steer away from the solo thing because I'm a pretty decent solo player. I've done some stuff on YouTube to show people that I can do that, but that's just not my personal preference. So I don't waste any time with that on my DVD because that's not my specialty. So I let somebody else handle that. But, here's something interesting. 99% of your playing, especially as an R&B guitar player, is going to be rhythm or picking lead lines, not soloing like Jimmy. So I'm like, that's a no-brainer. I'm going with the rhythm and the lead picking because when was the last time you heard a memorable solo on an R&B or pop song? The last time I could think of was in the Usher song, You Got It Bad, which was a good solo. But it's not something that's unfortunately needed these days. Back in the 70s, yeah, they had a rhythm guitar guy and they had a lead guy. And the lead guy got a lot of work, a lot of work. But nowadays, you rarely ever hear a solo, because half the people these days really can't play. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or whatever, but it is what it is. The caliber of musicians back then is no comparison, as far as the musicians of today. And I'm not knocking them or being negative, but, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and I think it kind of stopped somewhere in the 80s, that these people were well-versed in what they do. So my focus is rhythm because, again, you get much more work as a rhythm player. And then other things that you don't think about. When you concentrate on rhythm, you concentrate on chords, different chords. And if you got all these at your disposal, you're a better writer, because chords are usually songs are built from chords, not lead solos. So it's much more profitable for you to be a rhythm guitar player and have pretty good songwriting skills at the same time, as opposed to just concentrating on solos. Because here's something interesting. And actually, Eric Clapton said the same thing. And I said, I totally agree with you. Here is the concept to me, that you have a group of notes within a key, and you can hit any of those notes at any point in time in the song, and you're not out of key. So what solo guys do is, they randomly hit these notes, and they can bend them and slur them. They can pause them, they can sustain them. You can do all those things with these notes. And, that's kind of the concept of a solo. And there are not too many people that can do this, that they can solo for 5 to 10 minutes without being repetitious as far as, I did that little run about a minute ago, and Eric Clapton is one of those guys that can do that. But, that's just unfortunately I guess the limitations of a solo, and that's why you use solo sparingly, because it doesn't make a difference what key. If you're running a pentatonic scale in the key of E or the key of G minor, it's still going to sound, like what you're doing, just in a different key, because actually that's all you're doing. It's the same thing in a different key, So that's why most people do solos or use them sparingly, because back in the day, even as a kid, we used to say this about the Isley Brothers stuff. I love it, but they all sound the same. All the records sound the same, and it was the same formula, So many verses, so many bars. They let Ernie do his solo, and then they vamp out with the chorus or whatever. So I'm not trying to, not sell you on working on your solo skills or being a lead guitar player. I'm saying it's the advantages of being a rhythm player, or concentrating, focus more so on that than the lead thing, because again, especially in R&B music, there's not too many people soloing. Back in the 70s, just about every hit song had either some type of solo, whether it was a guitar solo or keyboard solo or sax solo. But unfortunately, times have changed, and you have to change with those times. So that's why I focused, even back then. I had the foresight back then as a teenager, and people told me, say, hey, you got a pretty good right hand. Concentrate more so on your rhythm, and not so much, trying to be an Ernie Isley or Jimi Hendrix, which I'm like, I can never be none of those guys anyway. So let me shoot for trying to be somewhat like a Nile Rodgers, not saying or comparing myself to him. I'm just saying that, playing that rhythmic style, because a lot of people don't realize, when you think of Nile Rodgers, you think of the funky guitar riffs in the pocket and the chords. But Nile Rodgers, to me, is equally as good as a lead guitar player, and he proven that in a song called Savoir Faire. Whenever you guys get a chance, pull it up on YouTube and check it out. It's more or less kind of I would say a Wes Montgomery type of song, where the whole focus of the song is the guitar, and throughout the song, he's playing, solo lines, and it's like a 6-minute song, and it's just a beautiful piece of work. To me personally, that's one of my favorite Chic songs. A lot of people don't even know about that song. So that's why, my focus on my DVDs is the rhythm and not so much the lead, because, being in an R&B band, now if you're doing a rock thing, it's totally different, because, yeah, you're going to have to do some lead solo stuff quite often. It's just a part of that style of music. But R&B has changed, or has made, nothing stays the same, so it's not like it used to be back in the 70s and the 60s versus, today's music. A lot of the stuff for R&B, unfortunately, has a lot of computer synthesized stuff, cut and paste. I play a bar of it, and then I'm going to loop it and put it in there. I'm going to play the entire song, and if I mess up at some point in time, I start all over and do it all over again. And nowadays, cut and patch it here, cut this out, or add this, so it has changed. But, me personally, my focus is, rhythm, and I teach people how to play the guitar rhythmically pretty well. So again, I'm going to wrap this up. If anybody's interested in my DVDs, I have 4 DVD set, over 4 hours of me teaching you how to play your guitar as far as chords, not teaching you a song, because my philosophy is, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. That's my concept as far as my DVDs. I teach you how to play your guitar, not teach you one song. Put your finger here, put your finger here, because that's not the way that you want to learn any instrument. So if anybody's interested in my DVDs, they're still half price, which is $20 plus $2 shipping and handling. I don't ship outside the United States. If you're interested, inbox me. I'll give you information on how to purchase these DVDs. And DVDs, once payment is received, go out the very next day. So until next time, take care.